What is up, guys? So today I think I've changed my plans slightly since I have to build a tune specifically for this car, a base tune on the Mega Squirt because it doesn't come with one. I think what I'm gonna do, since the other motor's not done, well, I'm still working on the cylinder head. I just got the sanding drums and stuff I need to be able to continue on it real quick, finish the cylinder head up while that's being done. So I'm working on taking this off. It hadn't actually been heat treated yet, so it's not actually set yet. The paint's not, so I'm gonna go over here and wash this off because it got a little bit dirty sitting for a month or two while it was on there. So I'm gonna clean that up real nice. I'm gonna take the cylinder head off, check the gasket. If it's a multi-steel head gasket, I'm gonna reuse it, and I'm gonna use my head studs that I have for it and see if we can't get it to actually seal up properly. And then if I can do that, we're going to slap it in here for a minute and hook the Mega Squirt to it and start getting a base tune worked out on it. Once that gets knocked out, hopefully by the time that's done, I'll have the cylinder head completely done for the bottom end with the block guard, and we'll go ahead and get that in the car afterwards, and then we'll actually start tuning it for all that boost. But this will be able to make it where I can keep rolling and keep making content for y'all, and that way I can actually have something to be able to go out and start messing with people with. So hopefully that'll work out good for me. We'll know here soon because I'm going to have the head off here in about no time. I already went ahead and got all the valve cover bolts off, and so we're already inside of there. But I'm going to get this thing washed up, get that cylinder head off real quick, see what it looks like under there, and we're going to go from there. Alright, got this thing cleaned off, and now I just got to let it sit here and dry while I go ahead and take the cylinder head off the motor. I got the balancer and the alternator off. About to take the motor mount off real quick, and then I got to take off the timing belt guard. And once I take that off, I can actually take the timing belt off, and we'll work on trying to take the cams out. Now it's the timing belt guard. Now I just have to loosen the tensioner and take off the timing belt. Now that I got that off, I'm about to take the distributor off. I gotta take that off real quick, the distributor, and then I'm gonna take the cam caps off so I can get the cams out, and then I can actually get to the head bolts to take the head off. Alright, so I got the distributor off, and actually that one's not gonna be going back on. It's actually an OBD2 distributor, and so I'm also swapping it back to the OBD1 because that's what I have the Mega Squirt hooked up with, so that way I can get a base tune. I'm gonna have to swap everything over real quick, so that way I can run it on OBD1 on this motor. Alright, so I got the cams out, got the cam caps off so I get the cams out, and I took the lifters. So the cam caps and the lifters, made sure I kept the lifters in order. And then I set the cams right over here by my transmission, so that way they're safe at the moment. And I'm going to snatch this cylinder head off of here, and we'll look at the head gasket, and hopefully I can reuse it and put this thing back together today. So I'll be willing to bet this is the reason why the head gasket still leaks, because the guy I got it from put a brand new head gasket on it, which, as you can see, that thing's still brand new. But we got head bolts, and most people don't. They're torque to yield, so it means they're a one-time use, and a lot of people reuse the head bolts. And if you don't tighten them over what you're supposed to tighten them to, they won't seal properly. And if you do that, there's a chance you'll break them off and cause major issues. So hopefully I'm going to take these out and we can get away with putting studs back in, and it will seal properly, and I don't have to buy a head gasket. Alright, so I got all the bolts out of the head and I got everything unhooked. I'm about to actually pull the cylinder head off right now. I got one hose left. Come up hard up front. Yeah, you can see where it was leaking. So I went ahead and took the intake manifold off. It's got a little small throttle body on it, and it's got little small injectors. I'm going to put the LS manifold I have on here for the time being. That's got the 440 injectors that I use with the turbo motor, and it's going to have the 70mm skunk tooth throttle body that also goes with the turbo car. So that way, while I'm working on the tune, it already have all that stuff in there for that, the injectors and that extra airflow from the throttle body. So hopefully we can get a base tune knocked out. That way when we go and put the big cams and the turbo motor in there, it'll be a lot easier to just adjust it and get it to where we need it. So here are my ARP head studs. These are what I use on the turbo car. They've already been used once. I'm gonna use them on this B20 this time. That way, because I already have them, and I'm gonna go ahead and purchase another set of these, and the turbo car will get a brand new set of ARP rod bolts. I mean head studs. The new motor already got rod bolts, but I'm gonna go ahead and get another new set of head bolts for the turbo car, because it's going to be what pretty much gets all the nice parts, and then the stuff that comes off of it that's still reusable will be distributed among the other projects for the time being until I can do something better for them. I want to go ahead and give y'all a side-by-side comparison of the ARP head stud and the stock head bolt. The stock head bolt is torque to yield, and I don't use them. When you take them out, you have to buy a new set every time. I don't see a point in that. The ARP head studs are reusable as long as you follow the proper installation procedure, and then after you use them a couple times, check them to make sure that they haven't stretched any, and as long as they haven't stretched any and the threads are okay, they're reusable until something happens, until they get messed up. So I'd recommend getting these and running these in your motor instead of running these where you have to replace these every single time you take the head off of it. Alright, so we got to change the plan, because we took a bastard file and we kind of ran across it to see how flat it was, and it is not flat. It's very warped up. So we're going to end up having to do something to this bottom end, have the block decked. So I'm going ahead, I'm taking transmission off of it and all that. We're going to take the head that was on it, we're going to check it, make sure it's flat. If it's flat, we're going to go ahead and put it on the bottom end that we have together for it, and work on getting a tune for that while I finish the cylinder head off, and then we'll swap cylinder heads and go big cams as soon as I get the cylinder head finished ported. But this one has got real nice big ports anyways from the factory, so that'll definitely help the flow. But so right now that's the new plan that we're trying to go with. So I pulled the transmission off of it, and apparently I got a score there. At least it looks like it. It's competition clutch. Pressure plate. I'm gonna get it off and see what kind of actual clutch it is. So apparently the guy that I got it from, or somebody before that, had taken out the actual disc and replaced it with a stock one. So I'm gonna say it was this guy, because you can clearly see the machine mark still on the flywheel, and so it's ready to go, but he never could get it cranked to even be able to use it. So I'm gonna go with, it was the guy who did the head gasket swap, but didn't know what he was doing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this off of here, because this isn't that bad. It's actually pretty flat. It's got a little bit of wear, but here's my ceramic 6-puck. It's a stage 2 clutch, but and this is the flywheel that I had run on mine, and we're gonna keep that in there like that, and I'm just going to use this pressure plate this time instead of using, because it's technically an XTD clutch, but that pressure plate probably has more tension behind it, so we're going to give that a shot. If that doesn't work, I may end up just buying a whole new clutch for the turbo car, because for the power we're shooting for, I'm going to be right there on the edge of it not working anyways, so I may end up having to upgrade and just go on with that. So I was getting, showing y'all what my plan is, because it's getting this pressure plate, this clutch disc, it's getting, scratch that, it's getting this flywheel, this disc, this clutch disc, and then this pressure plate, which is a competition pressure plate, and it's going to go on the block right there with the block guard in it. There's the B20 block. I got it torn down. I'm going to end up having to send the block off to the machine shop and get it decked. So that way that'll be fine. When that starts coming back and I start putting it together, we will use it as mock-up for the red Integra and start cutting out the back and start doing the mid-engine swap on that. Alright, so I'm about to put this flywheel on the new bottom end and start getting that on there. We'll get the clutch on there and then the transmission. So I had to get out the torque wrench. He torqued down those bolts to 76 foot-pounds. It's 4 different stages, but that's the final torque. And then I'm gonna put the clutch and pressure plate on there and torque those down. So it took me a minute, but I found it. I found the clutch alignment tool, and now I can actually put the clutch and the pressure plate onto the flywheel because I have it torqued on there. Got the clutch pressure plate on there, torqued down to 20 foot-pounds, and now I got the transmission going on there. Get that bolted on, and I'm gonna try to get it hung up in there tonight, up in the hatch. Hopefully we can do that. Alright, so I'm going ahead and getting everything ready, and I got the hood cleaned off. I'm pumping up the back tire now. I'm gonna get the car rolled back, and we'll get the excavator over here and get the motor hung up in there tonight. And I roll it back up here in front of the container. I'll start hooking up the Mega Squirt and getting all that stuff ran. And I'll have a head gasket for it in the next couple days, hopefully. Can get the head put on it and go from there. Alright, so I got the transmission on there bolted all the way on. I got the oil feed line for the turbo on there and tightened down. And I'm about to go get the excavator to try to put it in the hatch, which I backed way up there. So I got the excavator over here. I use my jacket to cover up, you know, the cylinders, so that way we don't get no dirt down inside of there. Don't have no problems. I'm using my jacket to cover that up. And then I'm gonna have my dad run the excavator and pick this up, and we're about to go set that in the hatch and get it on its motor mounts. Got it hanging. Seems like it's gonna be pretty well. Just back up. You don't really have the room to swing around. Got my jacket to make sure it don't get dirt in it while it shakes and moves around. But I'm gonna hold this thing so we don't necessarily get so much swing in it. Alright, so it has a power plant again. We got a transmission and a bottom end in here. I'll take the jacket off as soon as I get it back over here. And when I get it back over there, then I'll take the jacket off. But yeah, I figure I'll leave it on while I move it. So it's getting a little dark, but I got the bottom end and transmission set in here. And I can start getting the Mega Squirt hooked up to it tomorrow. And then as soon as I get a head gasket, we're going to slap a head on here. Probably going to shrink wrap or something to keep the moisture out of the cylinders till then. But it's coming together. Shouldn't be too much longer.